I saw what you were doing there backstage. That was the smoothest. Could have been a bit smoother, but it was the smoothest change I have ever seen.
Well, I tell you what, that was interesting. Is when you've got technical difficulties. I just realized I'm busy doing some work in the background that is using my laptop sound and videos. So I was about to go live, and then I realized this is not going to work. So I had to switch over to the mobile side of things. So, yeah, can you hear me okay?
I can do, yes.
Awesome stuff. So this is going to be an interesting discussion, and I think.
Oh, so you're not wearing your headphones today, so that's.
Well, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Ironically, better.
Well, it's going to be an interesting experience because, yeah, slightly different with. I've not done StreamYard on mobile like this before, so let's see where this conversation takes us.
Yeah, let's see if it actually takes us. Or if it kicks you out. That's
So bear with me for a split second while I improvise. It shows you, when you aim for perfection, it doesn't always happen, but you've got to roll with the punches, as they say.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Don't mind Mac's ear.
There we go. Ooh, okay. Let's get some. There we go. Got some lighting on. So let's talk, young man. This is quite an interesting subject about how the metaverse will become a neurodivergent paradise. I have a few questions for you.
Yes, but, a few thousand, Mac.
Hey?
A few thousand, or?
A considerable amount. But first, before we start that, I wanted to find out and ask you, for the interest of those watching, firstly, how did you come up with this topic, and why? So we'll start off with that, and then I'll go into a few more questions.
Well, Mac, the topic came up because, well, as you know, I'm crazy about gaming. Yes. Having been an avid gamer since school days, much to my mother's dismay, my school friends introduced me to PlayStation 1, and then it's never looked back since. But since my journey down the gaming route, for better or for worse, you decide. I feel that sort of gave me an escape route to the bullshit of the entire world, if I may be so unfilterish.
Well, hopefully we don't get attacked by the web police, no. as it were. So where and how and when did you decide to do or delve into the metaverse? If you can give people a little bit of an opening bit, and what is it that you want people to get out of today's conversation?
Well, before I actually can answer your question, I wanted to draw your attention to this quote here, and I believe that, well, she has basically said what, well, let's face it, the world has said for years and has chosen to deny in recent years the existence of the metaverse. But really and truly, the metaverse has been a neurodivergent playground for longer than this decade. It has, I think, been a neurodivergent playground since the first games console, the first computer came on the market that wasn't dots and dashes.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that Yunji, with her comment there, I'd love to have her drop some more comments in as to why she said that, what her experience is and has been. and any tips and advice for those people that are only just
waking up,
looking at what the metaverse has to offer. Because I know it was quite a big eye opener for me a few years ago, and it's only growing at a rapid rate. But a lot of companies have fallen behind
yes,
when it comes to their ability to use the metaverse effectively. So what is it that you'd like people to walk away from at the end of this conversation, as whether it be inspiration, knowledge, call to
a bit
action?
more informed of what the metaverse nowadays, obviously, because obviously it's changed a lot since the dawn of boredom killers, like I would like to put them. Since the dawn of Tetris and Pinball Wizard and all that stuff. It's got a lot better now. It's still got the gaming element, certainly, but it's now people have worked out, hey, you can actually work in the metaverse as well. You don't actually need a physical office, which is I don't know about you, Mac, but it will cut the rent costs entirely. And
well, it's interesting because once you start exploring the metaverse, so just to recap, there we the whole thing today is about educating people and just discussing around it. And those people that are already involved in the metaverse, drop your comments, let us know what you're involved in. Our main aim over here is to show the possibilities that could happen should the wonderful neurodiverse and metaverse connect.
Right, Mac. Before my computer actually dies, please do continue. And I'm just going to swap the screen and drop me out for this particular moment in the not so. So
you're putting me in the hot seat, are you?
Yep, you're going to be in the hot seat. So off we go. There we go. Enjoy.
Awesome stuff. I'm split. So for those of you that are watching, Joel and I have now been connected via LinkedIn for, I think, coming up to about 3, maybe even longer years. And with RockstarX as his vision, and as you'll see from the emblem on this side where it says "Fighting for the Right to Party," it's all about educating people about neurodiversity in the first place, and then showing the beauty of what can happen when the right people are supported in the right way, and with the right environment. So for me, I don't like the word disability because that says to me that somebody is unable. But the reality, what I want to create, and through this discussion with Joel over time and educating people, is giving people the opportunity to show that with the right information and education, we can enable the environments of those people that are neurodiverse. So, there's a lot of ground to cover there, and I know that I've recently found out that, and I'm still going through the rest of the assessments, but I found out that I've got ADHD, which is not surprising to many people. Also dyslexic, which I've known for a while, and therefore, I too have coping mechanisms and have masked, just like Joel, who has autism, has had to mask to fit in with a lot of our atypical environments. And the reality is, through things like the metaverse, through music, through lots of technical advances that we've had over the last few years, we can really make the ability for neurodiverse individuals a lot easier for them to be able to access things. So one of the things about the metaverse that I'm really keen to discuss with Joel when he gets back is the fact that in the metaverse you can customize your environment, which means you have an opportunity for those people to work in an environment that is built for them, as opposed to an environment that they are forced into where it's far too noisy, or too well lit, or they've various aids that may not be available, and that's common ground because a lot of organizations haven't got checks and balances in place on how to deal with
Well, they've got checks
neurodivergent.
and they've got boxes, but they haven't got balances.
Well, I think a lot of the organizations we've spoken to that are involved in neurodiversity in some shape or form,
Yeah,
we found, Joel, and we won't mention any company names, but it's kind of common ground across a lot of them that a lot of organizations similar to, say, climate change or diversity and inclusion and various other things, where a lot of organizations say one thing and do another. So they might tick boxes to say, hey, you know what, look, we've had special training on how to deal with neurodiverse individuals. And so that's great, but are you recruiting neurodiverse individuals to be included in that diversity and inclusion within the workplace? And how are you enabling their environments? Because a lot of the time in the past, we've got to face some facts, and that is that in the past, a neurodiverse person, because of the difference in communication of how individuals work, would have been sidelined because it's like speaking a different language. And therefore, hiring managers, organizations would go, I haven't got time to figure this lot out. I'll just crack on with those people that I know. But that's also short-sighted in the sense that, it hasn't allowed them to be able to explore that skill set that neurodiverse people bring.
Exactly, Mac. And later on, I will show you. I have not discussed this with you at all yet. So you are going to be viewing this for the first time as well. But I'm going to show you what Stan showed me. Only different way because there's no permissions yet. It's not been released, so I can't show you individually. Of our virtual officers inside a virtual world.
I'm really looking forward to that because that'll open up a whole new world. Now, Joel, you and I were speaking about this the other day about the controlled social interactions via the metaverse, where like gaming, or as an example, where when we enter a game and we choose our avatar and we choose who we are and how we're going to appear, it's like putting some invisible armor on that gives us an opportunity to communicate, sometimes a lot more confidently than we would if it was in a face-to-face human to human environment. Which means, in fact, let me ask you this question: how do you feel the metaverse is going to be able to enable communications for neurodiverse individuals?
You embody your own character, like I do in GTA. I was for many years imagining myself. I watched Sons of Anarchy. This is where this madness comes from. And imagining myself as the head of a biker gang. The only place where I can actually do illegal shit, which is legal in virtual reality and make believe. I mean, if you're embodying a certain character, I'm starting to really have a new appreciation of actors here. You take away the judgments that people may have on you, because no one has even met you. I played 18 hours per day, but very naughty, with mostly Americans.
Yeah.
I found them non-judgmental, most friendly, and never shut up. So it was great. I always said 1 more hour. It ended up, I looked at my watch, 6 a.m. in the morning. Right, I've got to get up in about an hour. It's great because it gives you the freedom to be whoever you want to be, and that is what we at RockstarX want to bring to the forefront.
So
with our mega family in the future.
Absolutely. And one of the concerns I've always had when it comes to gaming is gaming is such a weird world because, as you said, they build these environments for us to go off and be these superheroes
Yeah.
and tear the world apart. And
Well, in my case, it was the villains, but
but even the villains, as an example. But one of the things that is quite surprising, the world is we're trying to teach people how to be peaceful and loving and kind.
yes.
Then we go and buy these games that teach us how to be the villain and tear the world apart and shoot people, and then I kind of wonder, well, hold on, what is the mentality behind
There
these?
is there is a logical grey area here, and the grey area is that the people, most 99.9% of the population, can distinguish fiction from reality. The
Well,
1% of the population can't, and they're the ones that are criminals.
Well, I think that may be a subject for another day, but
And the subject for Francis West, obviously, as well.
yeah, absolutely. But it's just an interesting distinction that I've noticed in gaming over the years. Now, one of the things when I kind of look at the virtual world of the metaverse,
Yeah,
there are some real key benefits
there
to
is.
the working environment for neurodiverse individuals. So,
Not just the working environment, but having a whole virtual city where you can, instead of finishing a day of working and buggering off for the evening, you can go to a bar, a virtual bar, have a drink with your mate, talk about stuff, hang out, and then only when your dog or your kids need you, you can then bugger off. But
well,
but
sometimes that's at the same time.
it's bringing the fun element to a less boring day and staring out the window, waiting for the bell to ring, so to speak.
But I think that the opportunity there, as you just said now, that ability to go and have social interactions in a safe space,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are, they're not comfortable going out to a pub
No.
or a club or things like that, but they'll happily be able to do it online where they know, well, if I don't like this, I just press a button and switch off.
Yeah. Or you change sessions in some games cases.
Yeah. So firstly, structured and predictable.
Yep.
So things like a lot of neurodiverse individuals thrive under structure. Having something that is predictable, and if you throw that out of the window,
Yeah.
that can cause quite a bit of anxiety and stress. But within the metaverse, you can design that. You can set up the different constraints that you want on there. You can have your preferences set up with regards to your settings.
Yep.
Which at the end of the day is going to give that individual that sense of control, which is really important as well. What are your thoughts on that?
It does do that, and it does a lot more. So if you're OCD and you don't like mess, in the metaverse, what mess? What mess?
Oh, you might just create a monster there where people go and create messy desks just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
In the metaverse.
When I say what mess, and then you bring in the virtual janitor, but it's or a robot vacuum cleaner.
There's a role for everybody.
But and I'm gonna bring up another comment, which fair enough. This one will cover half our faces, so please be prepared for that. Sorry viewers, but yeah, as you can see, all our faces. Okay, so as time goes on, this is from Yunji. As time goes on, we seeing more tool sets that are being created for neurodivergent individuals. Not enough, granted, but there are a few tool sets, more and more. But the nature of the medium itself allows for you to run at your own pace, or walk at your own pace, or even crawl at your own pace, or do absolutely nothing at all and just sit in front of a virtual TV and get wasted. But and the metaverse culture has made it easier for people to find their tribe, family, tribe.
100%.
When you say access, she's also thinking of our ability to access each other and realize how we are not alone. We have the opportunity to click the Elon Musk button, X,
I saw that coming.
to shut things off. And when we are when we're overstimulated or overwhelmed, we can choose to type instead of talk. Brilliant. And the other, before you launch, I can see your cogs working. I can see it's like a Ferrari out of the starting track with you. Before you do that, we're going to go on to the other comment which she wrote. Sometimes, I'm guessing this is part 2. Sometimes you are more yourself as an avatar
100%
than you are in your biological avatar. It provides us the ability to extend the consciousness into a place where we are capable of doing things that are not possible in physical reality.
I think that that last point is so. There's so many hidden messages in that when it comes to not only being more confident in an avatar, but also there are a lot of things that we can't express in real life because of the limitations of the physical world.
Indeed.
And that might be just from a physical perspective. There are people that are not able to walk who can run in the metaverse, but that means that they are also able to express themselves differently. They're able to take part in things that they wouldn't be able to take part in within our physical real world. And that gives us an opportunity. For me, I love basketball as an example, but if I had to go and play against the average basketball player now, I mean, I used to play university and college and all that stuff back in the day, but there's no way I can go and dunk a ball now. But in the metaverse, I can create teams. I can go and play. I can do all these wonderful things. And as you say, Joel, these things have been around for ages. It's just a different way, a different perspective now. Instead of playing a game on a console, we're now actually in that game. We're actually part of it. We are that. Before you had to choose a character. Now you can build that character to suit your own. You don't have to just go, oh well, like in Mortal Kombat in the day where it's like, okay, well he only.
They're still producing those games. Yeah, they're still producing.
Well,
them.
I still play it because I actually bought a console just to give me access to those because I used to love it.
And what's your poison? Xbox or PlayStation?
I'm staying away from both because I have an addictive personality when it comes to gaming.
Yes.
I used to play a lot of like war games and things that you have to plan things out and build cities. But I'd find I'd far too often see the sunrise and then I have to scoot off to work, and it didn't make for a good day at work. Put it that way.
For me, and then we've got another comment from Yunji. I mean, you did tell her to spam the comments.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is not just about you and me, Joel.
The main strategy game I used to play, and taking you back to 1990s and 95, and
I was
one of the best games Microsoft ever came out with, besides their other one, of course, and then the studio shut down.
Oh no, that wasn't them. Sorry.
No. Age of Empires 2.
Okay.
Greatest game ever.
Okay.
They recently brought out.
That was the game that kept me up for many years.
They recently brought out. If you haven't noticed, they've recently brought out another one. They recently brought out Age of Empires 4, and I've got it on there. It's literally like Age of Empires 2. They learned their lesson with Age of Empires 3 and never to repeat that again. They tried the 3D. It didn't work.
Yeah, well, that was the game I lost a lot of my life to, Joel.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
So
bringing it back.
that's now back on, and I've got it on my computer. I pre-ordered it.
I'm gonna have to come and visit.
And the other game that Microsoft really did very well with, and also supported mods in the game. For those of you who don't know what mods are, they are custom content which smart asses tend to make, and then we tend to download them and put them in the game. And that series, before that studio got shut down and then reopened under a different name, Microsoft Flight Simulator. The other one, which I pulled all-nighters, I must admit, I pulled all-nighters with, and I still couldn't get to Australia from America.
I'm another conversation, but let's stay on track here because they're
so the metaverse has existed in all sorts of forms,
but it's a lot more bespoke now.
It's a lot more bespoke now. It's a lot more work orientated now than just kids games and stuff. So that does beg the question before we bring Yunji's next question up. And
well, I had a few things that I wanted to say, but after yourself, before the next comment, because I still need to elaborate on some of that what you said.
The thing about the metaverse now, I don't know why people are terrified of it now, because it's not like you're giving your kids a game. You're using it yourself. So why the hell are you terrified of it when it's been around since forever? Older than me.
Well, I think, Joel, it's like a lot of things. I mean, I look at, LinkedIn, which I love using as an example, but I know people that are terrified of LinkedIn because they're scared about how they're going to break it or how people are going to perceive them, because the platform's gone through so many changes. But then you look at the metaverse and it's very different to what we perceived it like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. And also there is no single company that can own the metaverse.
Yes. And you can go and build your own version of the metaverse. And
contrary to what Facebook thinks they can do.
Yeah, no. Anyway, no, I'm going to be careful on that one. In case in case one of their bots is listening and coming for me. But one of the things that was mentioned in the earlier comment about that being able to connect with people, that community and belonging is, I think, an opportunity to really change how neurodiverse and neurotypical people communicate, and give a new way for people to not feel, in the real world. I know what, and you've been to a few networking events, but in the real world, whether you're atypical or neurodiverse,
it's still nerve-wracking. It's still a trial.
It's for some people, it's actually quite it's a phobia, because you walk into a room and then you see people go into cliques and they start talking, and it's like, how do I
break in?
Because and when I do, am I going to be rejected? It's like, if you had a bad experience at school, trying to fit into groups, that trauma will extend.
Been there, worn the shirt. I've still got it.
So that'll extend into the real life networking environment. Whereas in the metaverse, you've got your own avatar, and you've got a little bit more, you can just leave the room if you think, oh, you know what, this is not for me. And for those people who have experienced the metaverse, I'd love to kind of get their feedback on how they feel rejection in the metaverse is different from rejection in real life.
You're talking to one person who's experienced it in recent weeks. I don't know about you, but I can't stop using it and I don't get rejected.
But why is, what is different for you from real life? I mean, there's a lot of things, but can you...
Well, for a start, the metaverse is purely international. For another start, secondly, I'm talking to adults, but don't need to be in front of their face, so it's easier to talk to them when I'm in the park, which is every single day. working from the office.
So let's just expand on that slightly, because a lot of people don't, that they have no idea what it means to be working from the office in the metaverse. Can you explain?
I'm not leaving my room for number one thing. It's purely remote, and I just log into my laptop. Don't even need a VR headset, which is good because I really wouldn't trust Meta with my data anyway. And I don't need anything else apart from my computer. And the computer doesn't have to be bespoke. It can be I have one, yes, but it doesn't have to be. It can really be a netbook, and it will still run on it. That's the beauty of this metaverse as opposed to 4K games, because
so let's use a simple example. Why not just, I mean, you're on your laptop anyway, so why not just go onto Zoom to have a conversation rather than go into the metaverse?
Because you're still talking to a real person. You're not into your avatar. You're still yourself, and you still have your own doubts about yourself. I mean, we're all human. We all have doubts. Even you, Mac. And me with most recently, will I get a conversation with you? But with the metaverse, it sort of removes that element entirely. Not just it will work if you're neurotypical, neurodiverse, or just a yes person. Or even if you hate and never played video games in your life, anyone can use this. It's a piece of cake. I'll give you an example. My grandpa, who's 96 now, 96 years old, in lockdown, somehow, well, not somehow, he's very clever, but somehow managed to navigate his way to Facebook and join up. I'm not kidding. So if someone can do that at 96, a 2-year-old can create a character in the metaverse.
The problem is the 2-year-olds,
they won't know what they're doing, but they won't know what they're doing.
They take it to a whole new level.
But they can create. Anyone can create their own personality in their own way, and use their own microphones, and just talk as if they're just talking to the avatar and embodying the avatar, talking to your computer using Dragon Dictate or a bit more updated software now. And
I wonder. I'm just I love thinking out the box and pushing boundaries and
yes, you and me both.
So I wonder what our world would be like if you look at the typical classroom where you've got different characters in the room, different personalities. Some people are more confident than others.
Yeah.
And if you gave those, say, 30 kids in a class, in the average class for some of the schools in the UK, and you put them in, instead of just normal desks, you actually put them in pods where they each were still 30 kids in the class, but they came together in the metaverse so that nobody really knew who the individuals were, how they would communicate differently. Because,
well, for a start, you would have no war.
Okay, that's you've gone.
you would have no war, because there would be no prejudice, because no one would actually physically know you.
So, and I wonder if anybody knows of these experiments, if they've been done. I'd love to find out more about it, or challenge somebody to go and do that test.
Don't you dare challenge me, because I'll do it.
Absolutely, why not? But the question I have is, the metaverse removes a lot of things. It removes the physical boundaries.
Yep.
It reduces the physical barriers for people that have physical limitations. but it also enhances the creativity, can't even speak anymore, creativity, and innovation.
It does.
And I'd love to see the conversation between two, and you use the word war. I'd like to say enemies, but from a classroom level. So let's just pull it back to school. So potentially two people that have potentially anxiety coming into school, having to face each other. The bullied and the bullier, as an example, and watch the interaction in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, there's this thing called judgment, where judging a book by its cover is something that us humans have become so good at, yet over centuries have not learned that it's very accurate.
A bit like other things that men haven't learned as well.
Well, let's keep this clean. But the reality is there's a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people out there that, if you just spend, and this is one of the things that really, for me, I'm like a sponge. I want to know about the human being before I want to know about their product. So people that pitch slap me on LinkedIn, I'm like, I'm more interested in why you. What brings, like, what's special about you? What's your magic that you bring to the world? Yet everybody's trying to copy everybody else. Say that again.
Different kind of magic.
Different kind of magic, yeah. But everybody's so caught up on wanting to emulate everybody else or be like somebody else that very few people find themselves in their own essence. And I think the beauty of what the metaverse can give us is the ability to
be ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And where was I? I was watching a sitcom a few days ago where this parent walks into a convenience store, and you might know which one this is, but and they say to their child that's just got like great marks in their school test that, well, if you apply yourself, you can become anything. And the reality is, I think in the metaverse, that is an opportunity where, to a degree, you can become almost anything in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't want to be doing surgery on anybody.
Not unless you're
qualified.
Unless you're qualified, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and even then, you wouldn't be doing surgery on the person itself. You'd be doing it on the avatar. So the metaverse hasn't quite evolved enough yet to.
Well, I don't think we're far away. I don't think
we're not far away, but it hasn't evolved quite enough yet to get to that stage where you wouldn't even have to be in the same room to do the surgery.
Well, if you look at VR and you look at a lot of the stuff that's being used in surgeries across the world, where surgeons are now able to do keyhole surgery using a VR headset, and be able to not be in the room, as it were, because they're using VR and a machine that's ultimately in a different room doing the surgery. There's no reason why that surgeon can't be on the other side of the world as long as the tech and the machine is where it needs to be.
Exactly.
Which means, with our restraint, because I look at how many people are limited to specific special help with regards to medical conditions because of the country that they're in or the lack of medical facilities, as an example, and the cost of having to fly to another country and get this done. Whereas imagine just being able to have access to the world's #1 neurosurgeon or eye surgeon or whatever it is, by almost going and popping in at your local hospital where they've got the box that does the magic and the surgeons across the world, and you just walk in and they prep you, but that surgeon is able to actually take control of that environment and be able to provide you with that world-class surgery. So
it's another thing, really, doing that, but then the machine could obviously malfunction, and you don't want that to happen.
But so can a surgeon's hands.
Yeah.
So a little bit of, if it was me, you'd be in trouble because, yeah. But anyway, I'm conscious of time as well. So talk to me about kind of the key aspects that you're excited about with regards to, did you want to go to that comment first, by the way? I just realized you
Yes.
flashed it up. There we go.
Another great example is, never heard of this personally, DID.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who has that. That's why I haven't heard of it. And it plays as it plays in virtual space. In the metaverse, it's easy to switch your virtual body in a place like VR chat, which I again haven't heard of. Mirrored Well, haven't heard of, but need to find out more. And not have body dysmorphia when your alters begin to front. Yeah.
So in a nutshell,
English, please.
So this is my, I can't even speak anymore. Dissociative identity disorder, I think that's what it is effectively, individuals who don't identify with either the way they come across, or with their body type, or there's I mean, we're opening a can of worms, but it's a very important discussion to have, because the metaverse will allow, as was just said now, an opportunity for these individuals to be able to express themselves in a much more open and confident and comfortable way, because they can switch avatars based on where they're at within themselves. And I think there's still a lot of science that needs to be explored around that. There's a lot of,
I think so as well,
a lot of discussions that need to be had, people to be educated about it, because we're living in interesting times, because a lot of people that have maybe old school, been around for a while, and they come from very set backgrounds and belief systems, we'll have conversations like, oh, well, that was never available in my day, or people didn't think like that in my day, or, well, the reality is they probably did. In fact, I'm almost certain that they did. They just weren't able to comfortably express it. Plus, the chances are, if you can't relate to that, it just means that that wasn't your mindset, that wasn't your challenge. It's the same thing with neurodiversity, as a whole. Unless you've been impacted by neurodiversity yourself, a family member or a friend, and you've actually dealt with that, why would you know anything about it? How would you know how that feels? So this is where we've got to be very careful about the words that we speak, because there is no definitive this is the way things should be, if that makes sense, Joel.
It does make perfect sense. It really does.
So we live in a world where we should be excited about the fact that there are these discoveries and people being able to express themselves and not feel that they're isolated in the world. If we talk about a simple thing like gender discrimination, and is this new? Has it just come out of like all of a sudden 10 years ago?
It hasn't just come out. I mean, it's more people have, yes, but it hasn't.
No, because gender discrimination's been around for thousands of years. And you go through different cultures, through different eras, where women were in control and men weren't, or men were and women weren't, or when you come to whether you have an attraction to the same sex or different sex, again, not something new. This has been around for as long as we know. The challenge has been that it hasn't been something that people have been confident and comfortable to be able to come out and speak about. I mean, even look at neurodiversity. How many neurodiverse individuals have to mask to survive in the workplace because they're afraid that they'll be treated differently, or they'll lose the opportunities they have as a result.
This is very true. And not just that, not just not knowing your gender, but not knowing how people would react if you think differently, if you are different in yourself, even if you're non-verbal, like my good cousin who is verbal on the drums. I'm sure he will feel sometimes, what's the point, to speak, or no one gets me unless I'm behind something.
And yeah, I mean, there's so many things shooting through my mind when when you talk about that. It's I think if you look at mental health as an example, I think really the metaverse has a massive opportunity to help people cope on a day-to-day basis with their mental health, allowing them to express themselves in a way that's more aligned with who they are. I mean, if you imagine if you spent your whole life being an Olympic athlete, that the only thing you were known for was, running a certain speed, getting gold medals, and then all of a sudden you have an injury, or you're now too old to compete because your body's not able to compete. All of a sudden, your existence and what everybody knows you for is gone overnight. And it's, that has an impact. And I know that it's something that we don't generally see spoken about because everybody wants to put, athletes on these pedestals. But the reality is every single athlete at some point will go through that question of what now?
Yes,
whether it's a famous footballer or what was that?
What now? What will I ever?
Yeah, exactly.
Or who am I?
And I think the metaverse gives us an opportunity to use that creativity,
and also gives us an opportunity to reinvent ourselves as well.
Absolutely. So for those of you that have watched this far through our babbling and our conversation, firstly, well done. Secondly, I'd love for if you're involved in the metaverse in any way, shape, or form, and you have case studies or stories about people that have achieved amazing things, things that are going to help, things that are going to make a difference in the quality of life of any human being. We would love to hear from you. Drop it in the comments, or reach out to Joel or myself, as well as any neurodiverse individual that is you've been up against it. You've had some challenges. You've faced obstacles. Joel's I think we always will. I think it'll be it's a daily grind to try and keep up and stand out. But at the same time, I think those individuals that have been through that have a good story to tell, that can be a sense of hope and inspiration to others. We want to hear about you. We want to know what you've done, what you've accomplished. And Joel wants to interview you, and I'll just sit in the back because I've been talking way too much. Joel, what are your thoughts?
You tend to do that anyway, but but I would like to close this off. If you can hear the sea, you're probably right. Because I have had up until now the program loaded up, ready to show you guys and Mac what the hell you're missing if you don't get involved in the future, which is effectively now. Hopefully I get this right. I've never done this before, Mac, so we'll see if this works. How does this work? How does this work? How do I present?
Yeah, like I guess you would in Zoom.
How do I present? I want to present. How do I present?
Just hit the present screen button.
I'm on the present. Oh, right, okay. Right.
Just
that would be helpful.
In there for a second while we have technical challenges.
Yes. So we're going to go on to the layout, and that's the invite button. And we're going to go on to share the screen. Finally. Now, I want to share Google Chrome.
You're getting
I
a
will
step-by-step
share
download of what's happening in the background.
I want to share that.
Oh, something's happening.
It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. Is it that? Can anyone see this, or is it my imagination?
I'm just seeing a white screen at the moment.
Okay, right. That didn't work. Let's try this again. Sorry about this, guys. Never shared anything before in my life on Zoom, or let alone here. Let's try this again. Window. I was on the Chrome tab. My mistake. Window. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Metaverse and our virtual offices.
Woohoo!
No one, of course, is here because A, it's late, and B, everyone else, unlike me, goes home after a while. So this here is the information desk. Someone would obviously be standing right there. Well, at some point, 99% of the time when they're working. We've got our flag on there as well. We've got the people who own this particular lovely campus on there as well.
Is that the Cutty Sock?
Is that the Cutty Sock? I don't think so. If David McCullough is in this room, he can tell us if that is the Cutty Sock. He's the CEO of Excel and the VR Park and the MD in most cases. We've got the auditorium here that you can present expo, but you can have an entire say what you had at the Excel Center, Mac, the autism show. You can have it here. You don't even have to go anywhere. You can just have it here on the screens.
And I can get my step counter up without even leaving the chair.
Yes, you can do. You got the art gallery. So if you go in the art gallery, that's a perfect thing. We can also run. There is no. Our mouths don't move yet on this. That's apparently coming in a later update. So we're currently ventriloquisting, which is hilarious. So yeah, you've got expo things here. You've got little screens which you can put display your
business, all your info on.
Yeah, your business, so on and so forth. You can also run as well. It's quite good, really. And the whole thing, would you believe? If you're not familiar with this program, then Google it. I'm not explaining it to you. I don't even understand myself. It's called Unity. This whole thing was built with Unity. This is the office we're moving into eventually, as soon as we can get the change in the floor, because this is all public area, so we have to go back to the developers for that. And
can't wait until we start hanging out in there, Joel.
Yes, well, that's the office. So everyone, Deloitte has been here, Amazon's been here, a company which also does autism as well is here, is Specialist Stern. That's a Danish company that's next to us right now. So all of this is, people can rent the offices, just literally work from home effectively, but with people as opposed to alone, which is quite amazing. When I first saw this, my mind suddenly filled with ideas, and here we are right now. This is our offices. We're going to go in the lift. It's going to be black screen for a bit, but that's okay. It's going to come back on. It's a loading screen. And a nice pop. I don't know why there's a pop. It makes me feel like I've squeezed through a vacuum cleaner. But here we are. Now, Mac, you'll see some familiar names here. I've been busy with the offices. There's me.
Don't know him.
There's you.
Don't know him.
There's our American counterpart. You've got boardrooms here. So we've got 36 offices here. We have the option to rent them out as well if you want to. The ones we don't use and the ones we do use, we will obviously
The whole
used.
world of virtual real estate, eh?
Yeah, we've got Mac, new chap who's joined the team
Awesome stuff.
as of today, and Joe.
Look at that.
And Joe. So we've got 36 offices here. If you are curious as to find out, I'm not pitch slapping you. This is actually a legitimate offer. If you want to experience the metaverse, come down to the office when the permissions have been changed so you can actually come in and walk around. And if it tickles your fancy until your offices are set up, of course, and whoever wants offices, just feel free to use one of our 30-something empty ones.
We're going to need
play
a
around.
building in the next year.
What?
We're going to need another level in the building in the next year.
We've got another building. Rockstar House.
Nice.
One of these parks, though, guys, does come with a how do I stop sharing the screen? One of these parks, though, guys, do come with a oh, wrong thing. Oh, and again, let's try. No, I was right the first time. One of these, if you want a whole campus, though, it is currently that's what I'm working the developers down for and wearing them gradually. It's $100,000 to get a campus, but
it gives you multiple revenue streams.
Yeah. If you can make it work, then yeah, get a campus.
Well, Joel, you've just got those metaverse taste buds salivating, and I think
this is the grown-up version of the Sims games, guys.
It's awesome. I'm conscious of time, and I'm.
As am I. Jesus, it's an hour.
It has been. I didn't quite know it was that religious, but yes, it has been an hour. So thank you, everybody from all over the world, wherever you have joined us from, whether you're watching
wherever you have joined us from, come down to our virtual office if you're wherever you are in the world and say hello.
Well, in order to do that, Joel's going to have to share a link so that you can get into the virtual offices and find us.
It is true, yes.
Because you can't just walk outside and be like Alice in Wonderland and hope that by popping through
one day you will be able to, hopefully. One day you will be able to.
Yeah, well, hey, anything's possible.
We could be talking here for hours, but unfortunately, we are now out of time. And we will see you next time. Are we still doing every 2 weeks, or are we moving it now?
Well, we need to start meeting some incredible guests so that we can bring them.
Yes, we've got one guest coming up, and that's Nathan Whitebread. I'm sure I've said that right. And that will be on another show.
So we
do want to have guests up here, so do not be shy. And next time, Mac, why don't you, because you got the 6 screens, take the StreamYard link and drop it in the comments.
Absolutely, that's we've got to be careful of that. It depends on who can come and jump in. But yes, we will think about that and we'll have a look at that as a strategy. But for all of you that have joined us, stay tuned. Make sure you're following RockstarX company.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks at the earliest and whenever at the latest.
All the best. Cheers, everybody.
All the best and see you again soon. Now, where's the outro?